Welcome to MGAA Conversations, our new podcast channel where we'll be discussing with an exciting number of guests all things related and topical within the ever-growing MGA community. Hello and welcome to our latest MGAA Conversations podcast. Today I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Nadine Kearney, Chief Underwriting Officer at Rokstone Underwriting. Good afternoon, Nadine.
Hi, Mike. Thanks very much for having me.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this. And actually, let's be very clear. There is only one place to start, and you know where I'm going to start. Many congratulations on your recent Women Insurance Award for MGA Professional of the Year. I know what our listeners will be very interested in. Could you sort of just share some of your career highlights, you know, the journey you've been on and how you're now at sort of a thriving business at Aventum?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, first and foremost. It was an absolute honour winning the award this year, so thank you for that. As it relates to my career, I suppose it hasn't been linear. I'm 15 years in the industry. I started off. I actually chose insurance, which is unusual because not many do.
Yeah, when you get to my age, we all fall into it. That's our general thing. So you are slightly different on that respect.
Believe it or not, I actually studied international insurance and European studies in Ireland in the University of Limerick. So I started off that route and then joined a graduate claims program with RSA. So I spent a good majority of my career with RSA, working with them. Good chunk of it in the Canadian business. And then back here in the UK and at a group level in the UK and then into the UK and international business. So I got exposed to quite a variety of different disciplines. So I started off in claims. I then went into what we called insurance risk within RSA at that stage, at a later stage. And then I moved into kind of the underwriting and the portfolio management side of things. So I suppose my career highlights really are relevant to the various different roles I had at different stages. So when I started off in claims, after completing the claims graduate program, I moved from Halifax to Toronto. And in Toronto, I worked on a key achievement for me, I suppose, at that stage was working on a Lean Six Sigma project with the claims team globally there, where it saved 750k through operational efficiencies, and also earned my green Lean Six Sigma belt, which was fantastic. So that was kind of one of my career highlights in the claim space. And then I moved into insurance risk, where I got to work with some incredibly talented people across the space, working from personal lines to commercial lines to the real specialized spaces, the oil and gas space, to large complex property, overseeing from a portfolio management perspective, I suppose. And I didn't really probably appreciate it as being portfolio management at the time. Overseeing the performance of multi-million pound portfolios, working alongside some incredibly technical people who I learned a huge amount from. Whilst I was in risk, I got an opportunity to do work on some incredible projects, and one of which was reviewing all of our underwriting controls at a group level. And I led that project, and I got to work alongside what I would call some greats in RSA at that time, in developing the underwriting control frameworks. So I learned a huge amount, and then that, I suppose, pivoted me to coming back to the UK business. So I moved into the group. RSA Group at that stage, came back to the UK and got the opportunity to spearhead a £1 million global underwriting improvement project, which had 7 work streams within it. Again, working along some great talented people, and spent first year developing out what that program looked like, and then the second year embedding it and executing against it. And then that brought me into the UK and international business, where it's a bit of a practice what you preach moment. I got the opportunity to oversee the marine portfolio from a portfolio management perspective, which was quite a chunky portfolio across UK and international. And then I got promoted into overseeing the property construction and engineering portfolios, which were 600 mil in GWP at that stage. So some exciting things, great opportunities, great experience, and ultimately all of that eventually led to me coming to Eventum, um,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
one of my biggest career highlights to date, in all honesty. So, as the CEO for the specialty business here, for me, it's more than just a role; it's an absolute passion.
Yeah.
Thrive in our entrepreneurial environment and love working with such a dynamic team to drive innovation and ultimately underwriting excellence, which is what I've been leading towards the whole way
Yeah,
through.
well, I'm sure a fantastic journey, very inspiring, no doubt, to sort of other women in the industry. If I could just pivot back to one of the things you said, because obviously for 2025, 2026, we know that the regulator is going to be quite sort of focused on claims, and one of the challenges will be, and looking at your experience, you will have a very good insight on this. Is that, do you feel there's enough collaboration across businesses between the claims function and the underwriting function? Because, they obviously go very much hand in hand, but traditionally they've sometimes been islands on their own. And I just wondered given your broad experience, what's your take on it?
Yeah, it's been an age old problem, hasn't it been? So yeah, they have operated very much so in silos in the past, and recognised that during my time at RSA. And I worked very, very closely with the group heads of claims to be able to break down some of those barriers. We talk about portfolio management. When I was in RSA, we didn't talk about it as it relates to just the underwriting world. We talked about all the players that were involved within that, and claims were an absolute pivotal part of that. So we brought them on that journey alongside us, and we tried to break down those barriers and remove that isolation. So there were numerous kind of initiatives that we took to be able to do that, and similarly, we're doing that here in Rokstone. So the head of claims for Rokstone sits right beside me.
Oh, fantastic.
So there is no way we're not discussing individual kind of claims movements on a daily basis, nor is there any ability for that not to be happening with our business unit heads. So we've got claims committees in place. The claims the appropriate kind of claims heads come to the various different monthly underwriting performance meetings we have.
Yeah.
So we're very much so connected. But I do see that as being, and has been, an issue within the insurance space, for sure.
Yeah, very, very good advice. Very good advice. So, obviously, being a very successful woman in the industry, what's your view in terms of how the sector could do to recognise women and their achievements more? And I suppose the other subplot to that question is that, in your experience, do you feel the environment is improving in that regard, or are we still in quicksand?
I truly do believe it is improving, but I think there's a lot of work that we need to do to ensure that women's achievements are being fully recognised and celebrated in our industry. I think the numbers highlight the challenge. If I'm being really honest about it, I've recently reviewed an API report whereby it suggests that women make up 55% of the entry level positions in insurance, which shows that there's no shortage of talent and ambition. However, when you start looking at how those numbers go up the chain, representation starts dropping off significantly at higher levels. So 37% make it to the management level, 21% makes it to the exec level, and 21% makes it to the board level. So whilst the stats tell us that progress is being made, we've still obviously got a little bit of a way to go with women representing throughout the leadership pipeline. So I think there's some significant improvements that have taken place, but I still think there's a little bit of movement that needs to take place. I mean, I'm very proud of working for Eventum, the wider kind of Rokstone parent group. In Eventum, we've got a near 50-50 split. And I suppose your question to me would probably be, well, is that at the entry level or is that at the leadership?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a
Yeah.
blend, in all honesty. But we have had some really great appointments at more senior levels in the last 12 to 18 months, which makes me, again, incredibly proud. And I'm one of those. Some of that has been ingrown talent, whereby the talent's been identified, haven't all come in at that level. And we've been identified through our day-to-day kind of activities and promoted within, and then some of which we've brought in. So a few appointments that we've recently made. We've got Natasha Aylan, who's our strategic head of operations. We've got Nicola Chapman, who's come in as our head of claims for Rocks. So we've got some big appointments, which is is really exciting within the eventum space, but I don't think that's necessarily true for the wider industry. So I
Yeah.
think we still have a little bit of a way to go. I mean, it's a topic that I'm incredibly passionate about. I'm part of the exec membership at the Insurance Supper Club,
Yeah.
which I think is a fantastic organisation. So they're ultimately a business that is it's a community for women in insurance. It allows us to be able to network. It allows for more mentoring, development, and coaching. And I think we really need to nurture that a lot more.
Would you like to take the opportunity to reference the Insurance Supper Club website, or for our listeners to get involved? Is it? I assume they can just Google it and get it onto the website. Would that be right?
Yeah, if you put in the ISC, it will come up, and insurance code, it will come up automatically. You can always reach out to the guys there. They're incredibly amenable and really supportive and lovely individuals. And I think, I'd highly recommend it because they have all various different kind of levels. And there's, as I said, great mentoring program in place.
Yeah. Do you think, just before I move on from that, I think it's encouraging to hear that you see that the environment is improving, and I totally agree that there's a long way to go. Do you feel it's a generation thing? Do you think that when people with my colour hair basically retire, and then there's a next generation through that, there's a new different type of approach? Do you think that that's part of the challenge around that generation piece? Or am I being unfair?
No, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said otherwise, in all honesty. I think that is a big part of what has been the issue. And I'm sure, there were women before me that experienced a lot worse than what I've experienced in my 15 years. It hasn't always been fantastic as a female in the industry. And I'm hoping
Yeah.
that the next gen ahead of us doesn't have to experience some of the things that I've necessarily experienced in the space. And I do think that it is moving forward. We've got people moving out of the industry. We've got new fresh blood coming into the industry. I think it is a little bit of a dying thing to a certain extent, but I think we just need to be always very cognizant. As a female, I don't want to get a job that I fundamentally don't feel like I deserve, or I'm getting it because of the fact that I'm a female. But equally, I don't want
Right.
to get a job because I am a female.
Yeah, I understand.
So
No, that's very well put.
a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah,
How
very well put.
I've got the right role that suits my experience and my skill set, and that I've earned it.
Yeah, very true. Well, that's great, and it's a very sort of good segue to my next sort of theme is around, again, very topical, something, and no doubt you're passionate about listening to you today. So, insurance clearly is one of many sectors competing to attract next generation talent. I would say that we're not that good at it, to be honest. And I just wonder what your own feelings are in terms of what we can do more as a sector to actually attract, and actually secure that next generation, because it's becoming more and more competitive across all different sectors, as no doubt you experience in terms of recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think of insurance and you think typically of, car insurance. You don't think of,
Yeah,
the wider, bigger picture. It's the first thing. If
yeah,
anyone asks me what I do, it's the first thing that someone says, "Oh, can you help me with my car insurance?"
yeah, exactly.
So, no, there is a little bit of a stigma around it. I think we just need to be really we need to be getting out there a lot more, getting out into the universities. We need to be highlighting the opportunities for career progression, stability, the chance to innovate and make real impact within the sector. I think at Rokstone, we've done a really great job, and Eventum, we've done a really great job at booking the trend. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is that we have this ability to attract top talent within the organization. And I think that's what some of our carrier partners see within us. We're very
Yeah,
agile, we're very innovative, and that's appealing to people at the moment. We also have some great programs in place, which I feel very proud of. One of which I was a sponsor to earlier this year, where we've developed out a graduate training program. So we've already seen the benefits of that. We've hired in some great talent coming directly out of university. But
yeah,
for that, we've also got a work experience scheme, so we can give people a little bit of a feel as to individual students, a little bit of a feel as to what the insurance industry can look like over a 3-week program. We've hired a new group head of learning and development, so we're building out on all of these programs, and I just think
yeah.
we need to continue to nurture that and just make sure that we're getting out and making our presence known at universities and otherwise.
Yeah, because I think there's probably nothing more prouder for an organisation, individuals, where you can nurture and grow your own sort of talent, and you see them rise through the sort of organisation, and you feel you've had a little sort of sprinkle of your own dust to actually help that person get there. I don't think there's anything prouder for organisations when they can see someone who's come in at sort of entry level and then sort of risen right the way through the organisation. I think that, I think it's, credit to sort of Eventum, the fact that they create that particular path extremely well. And of course, as an organisation, I think when I last spoke to David, you have won awards, haven't you, as your best workplace, haven't you, from that bit? So
We have
it's
two
obviously
years
been
in a row.
recognised. Yeah,
we're very
yeah,
we're
so
very
yeah,
proud of it.
yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, we're in the top 25 workplaces, aren't we? So we've run it. We've won it 2 years in a row. Said we're incredibly proud of it, and I think we've just got a great culture and environment to work in, and I
yeah,
think that kind of comes true in those sort of awards.
yeah.
People want to feel valued, people want to feel challenged, people want to feel supported, and they want to feel like they can make a real impact. And I think that's what we offer here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So again, your award, needs to keep mentioning it because of fantastic achievement. Fantastic recognition, sort of as MGA Professional of the Year in what is clearly a competitive but thriving MGA sector. So, what are your plans for 2025? As CEO, do you see any headwinds? What tailwinds? What opportunities? What are you sort of anticipating in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, looking ahead into 2025, I'm incredibly excited as to where we're going as an organization and building on what we achieved within our financial year, 2023-2024 financial year. In 2023-2024, we surpassed our major milestones, right? So we grew profitably 1.2 billion, surpassing our target from GWP standpoint, surpassing our target of a billion pounds. We had a gross ULR of 53%. We've launched 8 new MGAs. We've brought on 11 new top tier carrier partners, some of which are the likes of Allianz, Munich Re, Aviva. So going into 2025, it's ultimately a lot more of that.
Right.
Improving on, fostering and nurturing our talent within, but also attracting top talent, because that's what we do, and that's what we aim to kind of, we're noting if we don't have great talent in business. So from a professional standpoint, I'm actually going into 2025. My biggest objective at the moment between here and the end of the year is building out the 5-year strategy for the specialty business.
Yeah.
Looking
Yeah.
at what the 5-year plans are, which is obviously a little bit challenging at the moment because we've got a lot of, the market softening.
Yeah.
So just trying to get a little bit creative, think about, outside the box thinking. And also just looking at, we've got some really exciting new lines of business coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
Our marketing team are fantastic at getting the news out on LinkedIn.
There they are. They're very good. Yeah.
I won't make any big announcements, but we've got a really strong pipeline for new talent that we're bringing into the business with new lines of business. We've also got a significant investment taking place as it relates to our technology, which is only going to make our underwriting teams, their lives a lot better and a lot easier, but also support a lot of the our carrier panels ambitions and desires for better quality MI and data and analytics. So there's a lot of great stuff in the pipeline on a professional level. And then on a personal note, I'm actually going to be a first-time mom. So
Many congratulations.
yeah, thank you very much. So 2025 is going to be transformative in many ways across the board. So I suppose just balancing that, kind of having that balance between a growing family and
Yeah.
ultimately still thriving in my workplace.
Excellent. Could I just sort of come back to rate adequacy and the sort of reducing rate adequacy? Are you Have you got any concerns about the speed of that, or do you think that there's enough surplus in rate for 2025 and 2026 might actually be more of a challenge if we continue down that softening, or do you see it sort of a sliding doors moment that we will hit sort of race to the bottom too quickly?
No, I think it depends on the line of business, but I think we've been we've had significant chunky rate, year after year for quite a few lines of business. So property, I think we've got enough padding. I think we do equally on the marine side of things. We also have it on the construction side. There are a few lines that are a little bit more challenged, like the aviation side of things. And obviously, there's a lot of things pending, kind of with everything going on with Russia at the moment. But I'm not too concerned about 2025. I think 2026 will be the bigger challenge.
Yeah, that's my sense as well. I think because I agree with you. Sort of talking to our wide sort of group of members and our insurer members, they feel there's enough redundancy in the rate adequacy for 2025, even though that will reduce. But everyone appears to be more concerned about premium going into 2026, which I think is the challenge. So interesting. Okay, well look, so I've come to my last question, and apart from, if we were going to have this conversation in 12 months' time, so apart from which I would hope that you would have a young baby on your knee when we were talking, what would you like to be talking about in, say, 12 months' time in terms of, what you've achieved, apart from being a successful mother?
I think if we were here in 12 months' time, I'd like to be looking back on the year. As I said, I'm at this point. We're at a critical kind of juncture of kind of developing out that 5-year strategy, and that's ultimately going to set the tone going into 2025. So I'd like to say we've been executing successfully against that. And in the next 12 months, I hope we'll be talking about the expansion into new and exciting lines of business. As I said, watch that space. Geographical growth. We've just launched in Dubai, so I'm excited to see how we can continue to strengthen our global footprint. Further diversification and nurturing of our carrier panel, so building on our relationships with our existing partners and of course new carriers who we're having discussions with at this moment in time. I mentioned tech, so innovation and resilience, I suppose, in the softening market that we have at this moment in time. So leveraging our technology to find new profitable ways to grow. Talent acquisition and development, we've touched on that a little bit. It's key and critical. We're people first here, so it's critical to everything we do. And realizing the benefits of the technology and that into the data and analytics and the benefits of that within our portfolio and our portfolio to be able to make more kind of impactful strategic decisions as to how and what we grow. And ultimately, delivering profitable growth for our carrier partners. At the end of the day, our success is their success. That's the bread and butter of what we do. So really excited about the next 12 months. I think we're on an incredible journey here within Rokstone and the wider Eventum space. And I think we'll have a lot to talk about in 12 months' time.
Yeah, a very busy playbook, but very exciting. Very exciting, Nadine.
There's never a dull moment here, Mike.
Well, look, Nadine, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. Very, very interesting. I know our listeners will, be delighted to hear your views on a whole range of topics. So again, it just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time and look forward to catching up again in 2025. All
Fantastic.
The best.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Many thanks for listening. We welcome all feedback, so please get in touch with your suggestions on topics and future guests. Please don't forget to subscribe on your chosen platform so that you don't miss out.